I am now a mom of 4 little ones, with the newest one being about 3 days old. My milk is just starting to come in, and I wanted to share what I am doing to help support breastfeeding a newborn baby, because sometimes it can be a little bit confusing, complicated. So I'm going to share the things that I had prepped that I'm actually using postpartum, in addition to how we are doing with breastfeeding together. Hey, my name is Gina. I'm a perinatal fitness trainer and birth doula, and now a mom of 4. My previous videos have been expecting my 4th baby, but now she is here. She was born Friday night here at home, and we are about 3 days postpartum now. Nursing is going really well. Previously, the past few days, I've had just the colostrum, which is like the super nutriently dense milk, and so it's not very high in volume, but very high in nutrients, because babies' bellies really tiny when they're born, so they don't need that much. So you still have milk when they're born, but the more mature and high in volume milk starts to come in around like days 3 to 5 postpartum. And so my milk is starting, or the more mature milk is starting to come in now. So my breasts are definitely growing a little bit larger. You can start to see some of those like boob veins kind of coming in. And so at this point, my milk is much higher in volume, and so her poops are changing. She's eating a lot more. And so I want to share what I am doing to help support that. So the first thing that's important with breastfeeding a newborn is helping them get a good latch. Because even though this is supposed to be a natural thing, a normal physiologic thing, it can still be really confusing on what to do. They don't come out knowing exactly what to do. You are not just born knowing how to breastfeed either. There's a little bit of figuring it out together. Taking like a prenatal course on breastfeeding can be really helpful, so you have like a general idea of what to do. Having some resources lined up, like an IBCLC or a lactation consultant, or potentially even like a pediatric dentist to help kind of assess babies, like if there's any sort of like tongue tie issues and stuff. You can have like a myofunctional therapist or a craniosacral therapist. There's so many different people that can help support you getting a good latch if you're having a harder time with it. The first person that can help would be your labor nurse or whoever is there at your birth. They can really help with that latch as well. So when it comes to latching a newborn, my favorite way to do it is the cross cradle. And so my opposite arm is going to reach across to grab the back of baby's head. And then that same side hand, I'm going to use it to kind of navigate my boob into baby's mouth. And what this is doing is, because my hand is kind of at the back of her neck, it's going to allow her to extend her head a little bit more to open her mouth so that she can get a deeper latch. So I find that to be like really helpful. And then after I get her latch, I'll then take that same side arm, place it underneath her, and then I can get into whatever comfortable position that I want to be in. But usually I find being like more upright, helping her get the latch with that cross cradle is really helpful before I come into the more cradle hold. But there's so many different breastfeeding positions that you can do. Even with a newborn, you can be more upright. You can lean back to be a little bit more reclined. You can do side lying. If you have really big breasts, or like you've had a C-section and placing baby on your belly is really uncomfortable, you can also do like this football hold where they're to your side and you bring them forward. And that one can be nice too, because you can reach across through that cross cradle to latch as well. So after you figure out the latch, or you get some professionals to help you with the latch if you're having any issues with it, when they're latched, it should feel kind of like this pulling or tugging sensation, not like a chomping, and their cheeks should be full, so they shouldn't be sunken in. If they're sunken in or it feels very chompy, you can just kind of like hook your finger into their mouth to break the seal and then try to relatch them, because it's really important that we have a good latch, because otherwise you can cause some nipple damage. Now, when it comes to nipple damage, which sometimes can happen, I had a lot of nipple damage with my first baby. I fortunately haven't had a whole ton with the subsequent babies and don't have any really with her. If you do get some nipple damage, which can happen, I had nipple damage with my first baby when I was really trying to figure out the latch. I luckily haven't had a whole ton since then with my second, third, and now 4th baby. But what I really suffer from is just like sore nipples, because I don't normally have somebody sucking on my nipples all day. And a little baby who's trying to figure it out, it just gets a little bit sore. So if you have nipple damage or sore nipples, different things that you can get is one, Silverettes. They're made of silver, which has a lot of healing properties, so it can actually help to heal damaged nipples, and soothing properties, so it can kind of help with some of the soreness that you're feeling. Silver is also antimicrobial, antifungal, antibacterial. There's so many great benefits. And because they're just like these little silver cups that you would just put inside your bra directly against your nipples, it can sometimes collect the breast milk as well, which also has a lot of healing properties as well. And it helps to keep that like more moist environment, which can be very healing. And so you'll just put them in directly on top of the nipples, and then in between feeds, they just stay there. They're very soothing. And then when you're gonna nurse, you just take whichever one out that you're gonna nurse on. I like to then just put it in the other side so that I don't lose it. And then when I'm done nursing, I'll just like pop that guy back onto that nipple. And then you have these like Madonna boobs going on. With the Silverettes, you want to make sure that you get the brand Silverette as well, because there are some knockoff brands that aren't as good quality and they're not as helpful. In addition to the Silverettes, you can also get like nipple balms. This is Mother Love's nipple cream. This is just the brand that I prefer, but there's so many really great ones out there. The nipple creams can be really nice because they provide that lubrication against the nipple as well. Also helps to create that more moist environment to help with healing. And it prevents your nipples from sticking to your bras, which if you do have any sort of nipple damage, sometimes they can stick to the inside of your bra, and using some sort of balm can be super helpful. Something that I used with my first postpartum to help with nipple damage was I actually had these like gel soothing pads that I could put in the fridge and then put on my nipples, and that was like really helpful, but I haven't really needed that since because I haven't had any nipple damage. So those are like two things that I would have on hand to help just to be more comfortable as you and your baby are trying to figure out latching in the postpartum. In addition to helping to soothe the nipples, you also want to make sure that we have some good supportive bras that are non-compressive. And so this is the Everything bra from Bodily. It's one of my favorite early postpartum breastfeeding bras because it is supportive to where like I feel like the girls got the support that they need, but non-compressive to where I feel like it can really expand really well and I'm not going to get clogged ducts. And so one of the things that can contribute towards clogged ducts is essentially just like too much compression, usually in like the armpit area or like underneath the breast. And so this bra is like one of my favorites for the early postpartum because there's like no compression happening here. It was developed by a lactation consultant, so it's like really awesome. And I'll probably wear this for at least like the first 2 weeks postpartum. After that, I'm going to transition to the Baobab Bralette, which is a pull-down nursing bra. It's a little bit more supportive as I become a little bit more active in the postpartum phase, and it's my preference for postpartum. But there's so many great nursing bras out there. We'll link some of our favorites down in the notes below. But what I am personally going to be using, Everything bra from Bodily, and then Baobab's Bralette, which is a pull-down nursing bra. As my milk comes in, I'm also going to have a lot of letdown, which means like the other side will leak and come out. And so because I don't want that milk to go to waste, like I worked hard to make it, I do have this Haakaa, which is like a silicone manual pump that I'll just place over the side that I'm not nursing on. And then this will collect all of that extra letdown, and then it can help me build a small stash. I don't need a huge stash because I work from home. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm gonna be with my baby most of the time. And so if you do need to build a stash, having like an electric pump can be super beneficial, and most insurances actually cover it. And so you can get a prescription from your midwife or your OB to get a breast pump. And there's so many companies out there that help you with that whole process. Like Aeroflow is one. I got one from a different one, but you get it with your insurance, and it also covers like the milk bags and parts and stuff. So definitely if you are going to be returning to work or you do need to build a stash or you're exclusively pumping, getting an electric pump with your insurance is a definite must as you're preparing for breastfeeding. So I'm just gonna be using the Haakaa to collect my letdown because I don't need a huge stash, but I do also have an electric pump if I do need to have a little bit more milk set up, like if I'm going to a birth or if I am gonna be working outside the house for a little bit. But this will be like a good way for me to just collect everything that I'm making. Might as well use it. In addition, I have these disposable nursing pads for when I do start leaking a lot more, especially with that letdown, because otherwise I will just smell like milk. And so the nursing pads are really nice because they collect all that extra milk, so it's not seeping through my shirt, which I really don't want. But this one's just for Mom Cozy, but you can grab any like disposable nursing pad. They also have reusable ones as well. I find that those ones don't collect quite as much of the milk, and I always lose them. So then I have to buy more. And so I just prefer to just get the disposable ones because it's easy. I just throw them away and then I just throw a new one on if I need it. I don't leak for super long postpartum. My sister did a little bit longer, so she uses these a lot longer than I do postpartum. So there's no like set time frame that like everyone does. I usually use them for about 2 months. You might use them a little bit longer, a little bit less. You might not want to use them at all, but that's something that I have on standby for when my milk does start leaking a little bit more. The last thing that I have set up to support me breastfeeding is my hydration. And so this is the Easy Jug, which is like a gallon of water with this long ash Camelback straw, which is super cool. And so then this just sits on my end table, and whatever nursing position that I'm in, I could just grab this straw and drink from it. And it's really awesome. Like, you would not think that this would be such an amazing thing, but it is. And for whatever reason, drinking from a water bottle is really hard when you're nursing a newborn baby. And so this is like pretty clutch. I only put water in it though, just because for me, I feel like it would be harder to clean if I put like my electrolyte salts and stuff in it. So this is just water. You can put whatever you want in yours if you get one, but I do like that it has a super long straw, so if I'm inside lying or more reclined, I can still drink because there's nothing more thirsty than a breastfeeding mom. In addition to the Easy Jug, I do just have my normal water bottle with a straw, and I have my electrolyte salts as well. So this is Element, which is my favorite electrolyte salt. They're very salty, very strong in flavor, which I prefer. If you don't like that, don't get Element. But with it, that has the sodium, potassium, magnesium, all things to really help with my electrolyte balance, to help support my milk supply, to keep me hydrated. And I just kind of alternate between like the plain water with the Easy Jug and then my hydration salts over here. And I, again, really thirsty when I'm breastfeeding. And so I'm just constantly drinking water and hydration. But yeah, Element is my personal favorite. I'll link our affiliate link down in the notes below. There's no code or anything for them, but really just so delicious. I love it. That's pretty much all I really have set up to help support me postpartum with breastfeeding this newborn baby. She's gaining weight wonderfully. Breastfeeding is going really well for us. Other things that I have is also just tons of support from my family. So my mom is helping me out. My husband is home to help out as well. And so they're just like constantly bringing me food, refilling my water, so I can just stay in bed and focus on bonding with this baby girl and resting. My plan is to stay in bed for probably like another 2 days, so 5 days total. And then eventually I'll start moving a little bit more around my house, but still primarily staying inside the home. And then around 10 days postpartum to 2 weeks, I plan on starting to go for like short walks around my neighborhood and start incorporating a little bit more movement. But before then, just gonna primarily be in bed to rest and recover. I did have a placenta detached from the inside of my uterus that is healing. So I have an internal wound essentially. And so resting is going to be super important. I will be doing some breathing exercises and gentle mobility. We have all of those movements that I'm going to be doing in the early postpartum in our free early postpartum recovery course that I'll link down below. With that course, it's got that breathing, the gentle core exercises, the gentle mobility to help you reconnect with your core and with your pelvic floor to help support your healing postpartum, because 4 to 6 weeks is a long time to do nothing, but it's also too short to rush back to the gym. And so we can still use some gentle movement to help support the initial healing postpartum, to help with that movement in blood and lymph flow without overdoing it, causing more issues. And so the course is free. We'll link it down below. It's what I'm personally going to be using in this early postpartum to help me kind of begin to move my body again with a brand new baby. If you want more after that, we do have our postpartum return to fitness programs as well. We have our app-based program and on-demand. I'm going to be refilming the on-demand with the new baby to update the programming, so there will be new videos in that. But with our postpartum programs, it's going to help you return to fitness, return to lifting, to running, so that you can feel strong again after giving birth. And you can check out all of our postpartum fitness programs on our website at mamasayfit.com and use code YouTube10 to get 10% off any of our online offerings, to include prenatal, postpartum. But yeah, I'm gonna be sharing more about what I am doing in this early postpartum phase to help support my long-term health and recovery, and sharing how this baby girl is doing. We'll be sharing her birth story on our podcast, so be sure to subscribe to our channel so you get updated whenever I release new videos for our mini vlogs in this early postpartum phase. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.